Dear Ministers of Environment and Education, my name is Jasmine, I'm from Lebanon, and at 15 you'd be surprised by the amount of essays I've written and speeches I've given, always to come to the same conclusion. Climate change is bad. But we've known that. We've known that since 1801. We've known it since the beginning of the 19th century. The words, "our ice caps are melting," have been tossed around for 222 years. In 222 years, you can imagine the amount of leaders, representatives, and presidents that have come and gone. Most, if not all, aware of our planet's situation. And they all had one thing in common. They failed us. Again, and again, and again. So break the cycle. We've talked the talk. You know the causes, the effects. You've read the books. You've seen it with your own eyes. You've had more than enough time to be in shock. So now, I am asking you, not as members of an ethnicity or race or religion, but as members of a planet whose future is in danger. Let us walk the walk, together.
We all know that the environment is at great risk, and henceforth we have to act as soon as possible to delay and stop any further negative development when it comes to climate change. As we know, the environment is vital for human survival. It provides many stuff for us like clean water, oxygen, food, and raw materials. And we want the next generation to live in a clean and peaceful world. And I believe to achieve that, we need to implement environmental education and awareness at a young age. This will hopefully encourage the children of today to practice green activities like recycling, tree planting, shopping, and living a more sustainable life as they grow up.
When it comes to education, students need to be aware of the serious impact climate change has on the planet and our everyday lives. I believe education about the various Earth ecosystems and how they're being affected by climate change should be mandatory at every school. Students need to know what environmental pollution actually is, its effects on us and the generations to come, and alternative solutions that can be implemented in order to prevent it. For instance, the reduction of plastic and its replacement with sustainable materials can be encouraged by simple actions in our lifestyle. Students, alongside with their teachers, can make an effort to adapt their everyday lives from transportation to clothing and even eating habits. Climate awareness will help us build a sustainable, climate-friendly world, and it will be the new generation of policymakers and consumers, a generation that will not only need to manage the consequences of climate crisis, but will also have to come up with sustainable ways to revert it.
As far as the climate crisis is concerned, any prediction about the future of human civilization will produce an appalling vision of overcrowding, starvation, and conflict. Man's victory over the elements has brought him new and daunting problems that must be overcome before we run out of time. Education has a key role to play in educating children and adolescents on the greenhouse effect. Therefore, in my school, we have developed a culture of environmental and sustainability awareness, promoting climate literacy through a practical and holistic educational approach in an effort to have our students' voices heard despite our remote location and limited resources. When it comes to inspiring our students, we follow Greta Thunberg's words, "I have learned you are never too small to make a difference." As I'm growing older and hopefully wiser, I came to realize that living in a mechanistic, fast-moving consumer society with all the problems associated with it, ecological disaster, urban sprawl, migration, displacement, is far from ideal. So, and on behalf of my fellow students all over the world, I manifest my thoughts to anyone who might be interested. We need to assume an active role, thinking globally and acting locally, in the framework of empowering global education citizenship that might transform our way of living and foster a new ecosystem of democratic transformation. In these terms, perhaps we should stop equating growth with progress, quantity with quality, change with improvement. Coming to a conclusion, if I were the Minister of Education, I would make an effort to improve humanity's quality of life in educational areas, building bridges between nations, sensitizing youth, strengthening democratic citizenship, shaping new radical ideas, and sharing them with a wider audience for the benefit of our home, our planet. Let's join our forces, let's unite our strength under the motto, learn for our planet so we can act together for our planet.
So, if I was the Minister of Education, I will start introducing climate change and their consequences, climate action as a form of engagement It's starting from elementary school gradually. What does mean that every year we introduce a different topic with different activities for young people so they become more aware year by year. And this is for the sake of our planet and for the sake of our future. Because imagine having people who are still not aware about the consequences of such phenomena that are destroying our planet on the daily. So, for the sake of our future and for the sake of our planet, we call ministers of education and environment to consider COP26 as a turning point for climate education.
Last exposure to formal climate education was at the Yale Young Global Scholars Summer Program 2 years ago. Ever since, I continued to research and study on climate change and global sustainability issues, ongoing to this day. Mobilizing the youth towards solution-driven climate action is what my role as a UN Young Leader for the SDGs revolves around. And if I were an education minister, I would envision implementing a comprehensive climate awareness program embedded into the school curriculum right from primary school to mobilize the youth's potential towards solving the climate crisis in an informed manner. I believe that being informed about the climate crisis is a key pillar of effective climate action. I want to learn for our planet so that we can act together for our planet.
I demand that my climate education go beyond just climate science and includes a social and gender justice lens.
I want a climate education that leaves no girl behind, no perspective unheard, no story untold, and no fight not fought. Climate justice isn't justice if it isn't for all.
Climate education must be able to break down culture norms and power structures that are a barrier to girls' education, and it must strive to achieve a culture of freedom and not oppression over the people and the planet.
I've been studying about the earth and the environment all of my life, but as time goes by, the more I realize that studying about it at school is not enough to fix all of the messes that have been going on in our planet that are sadly are mostly caused by man behaviors. Climate change, global warming, animal extinction. It's all enough signs that our earth is now seeking for help. As a student, I'm really looking forward for an education guide towards these issues, because that earth is the only planet we can live on. Not only studying it by textbook, but I'm really hoping that education can guide people all around the world to be able to understand and to realize that our concern matters the most. We can start with the simplest thing, such as going field trip to the zoo or approaching kids towards nature. So then, engagement will be built between men and also our planet. For the future of our planet, we need to learn for our planet. We're calling Minister of Education and Environment to ensure that COP26 is the turning point for climate education. For our future, for the future of our planet.